G'day investors and welcome to another episode of Stocks to Watch. My name's John Franklin, an experienced exploration geo and your host. Today we'll be taking a closer look at iMetalResources, a Canadian junior exploration company focused on unlocking potential of underexplored gold assets in Ontario and Quebec, and more recently an Antimony-Silver-Zinc project in Bosnia. I have with me today Saf Dhillon, the CEO and President of iMetalResources. Firstly, Saf, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So, like I said, iMetals that recently entered Bosnia, where they've announced a letter of intent to acquire 100% interest in the central Bosnian Antimony-Silver-Zinc mining concession, which includes the historic Cemernica deposit. Hopefully I said that right. What makes this deposit an attractive acquisition target?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Yeah. Hey, John, I still have problems saying that name, but I think I'll get better at it over time. Yeah. iMetal, although we have a great flagship property in Gauganda West, and our plans are to further develop that asset, basically the markets were not giving us any real value for that project. And so, currently we've been trading at basically shell value. And so we were being shown a number of opportunities globally. And so as a board and management, we thought, hey, we might as well take advantage of the situation that we're in. And, we looked at a number of assets globally, number of precious metal, base metal assets. And we also understand that the markets globally, both in North America and Europe, have actually been looking for critical mineral assets, specifically tungsten, antimony. It's really been driven, I guess, largely by the Chinese policy as well as the U.S. Current government policies. And so when this opportunity came across our lap, we thought, it's a historical resource. It's not 43101 standards, but it was to the original old Yugoslavian standards. So basically, this is a project that's had a ton of work done on it. It's had, of course, drilling. It's had a defined resource according to the old original Yugoslavian standards, pre-breakup of these countries. So indications are that there's a couple of 100,000 ounces of certain minerals, including at least 4% of antimony. So we signed this LOI a couple of weeks back, and we're going through the due diligence process. And hopefully, if everything comes back the way we hope it does, then potentially we could be signing a definitive agreement in the next, 30 to 45 days.
Very exciting, yeah. And antimony and tungsten have become absolute buzzwords, and they're definitely starting to show some appreciation in their price as well. So exciting times. So you were talking about the old historic resource and that it's not up to NI 43101 standards. However, it has a resource on it. Could you run us through a bit more kind of the reliability and I guess compare it to other projects at a similar stage and then furthermore, how do you plan to advance it from here?
You know what? It's very early stage. And, I think what I can say is that, these standards, of course, everything changed with the 43101 reporting standards, but it was reported as a 300,000 ton ore. Grading, I believe like I said, it was just over 4% antimony. There's some zinc. I believe there's some silver. It's a polymetallic deposit. And I think that one of the most recent, comparables, although, they're a much, much bigger beast than we are, and this is an early stage project, but there was a deposit actually. There was actually an antimony project in Bosnia that was actually just recently in the news. It was the Adriatic deposit that was actually acquired by Dundee. I believe it was 1.2 billion. Obviously, we'd have a ways to go, but plans would be to complete this due diligence work, get to a definitive agreement, and build our technical plan in terms of confirming the resource, bringing it to 43101 standards, and then potentially growing this resource. And whether we can, add another 20-30% or double it, I think that, this is a shallow deposit. And I think it's very early stages, but I think that it's very, very exciting and that it has a known resource.
So you've got some big players that are obviously active in the area, and like you said, in Adriatic and Dundee. So that provides definitely some upside as far as being able to move this project on at a later stage. What's going to be your process, I guess, as far as shoring this thing up so that it can reach NI 43101 standards?
Well, I think one of the first things that we're doing is we have engaged an independent geologist who knows the region, and he's actually done some surface work, some initial sampling. Those samples have been sent off to the lab for a rush analysis. We'll get those assays back, of course, and potentially do a site visit with Tim Henneberry, one of my fellow directors, and our geologist that is involved in iMetal, and continue on this preliminary work before we sign a definitive agreement. But ideally, then the plan would be to, complete this current capital raise, which would be both funds for continuing exploration drilling at Gauganda West, as well as a little bit of additional work at Carhill, our graphite project in Quebec, and of course to fund the exploration and potential first drill program in a number of years at this Cemernica mine, former mine.
Yeah, it's a hard one to say. So going on to the financing side, then, like you're saying, you've closed the first tranche of the private placement. How much capital has been raised to date, and what factors have resonated most with the investors?
Yeah, John, to date, we've actually just closed in the first phase on 1.5 million Canadian. And primarily, again, this is investors who I've worked with in the past, supported the company, and investors, I think, who really understand the long-term approach that we're taking to these projects. And plans are to close the remaining 3.5 million. And I think we've had actually one institution that has taken a small piece. And the only reason why it was a small piece is because they were restricted by our market cap. So I think having the diversity of the gold, graphite, and now potential antimony in our portfolio projects, I think that's really starting to attract some of the serious and experienced investors. And as we grow the company, I think that we'll see that we're going to be attracting more attention and bigger checks, hopefully by some of these institutions.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid portfolio you're saying there. It's very exciting. So with the new funding secured, what's the plans to allocate that capital across the projects from here?
Yeah, I think I just touched on that lightly, but plans would be, again, to continue some work in terms of the graphite Quebec. But definitely we would want to build on the discovery hole at Gauganda West. Technical team thinks that potentially with another 4 to 6 holes, maybe 1,500 or 2,000 meters at Gauganda West, we potentially could be sitting on 300,000-400,000 ounces of gold. And that, again, is very significant because we are less than, between 500 to 700 meters from the Juby deposit. And the Juby deposit was just in the news within the last couple of weeks as it was sold by Aris Mining to another Canadian junior miner, McFarlane Lake Mining. So our hopes are that that means that the Juby is going to finally start getting some developmental work. That would, again, put this whole Gauganda shining tree back on the map and potentially get some more interest from international investors. And then, of course, another third or another portion of that financing would go towards this antimony project once we've come to a definitive agreement, signed and executed, hopefully sometime in September.
Great. Yeah. So you've got a good, clear plan for the allocation of those funds. That's good to hear. So with gold, obviously trading very, very healthy levels, over 3,300 US, how does this price level impact the potential and for your gold focused projects?
Well, I think what it does is it really just increases, our potential margins moving forward. You take a look at the majors. They're all spitting out cash. They're sitting on bundles and billions of dollars of extra profitability. I think in the last year alone, I think gold's added about $1,000 US per ounce. So that's just, I think what that's going to mean for guys like us in the micro cap space, who are basically just on the cusp of making discoveries. I think that trickle down capital is finally going to start finding its way in terms of supporting deals at our stage and potentially supporting our growth, and ultimately potentially being the source of capital that would be hopefully maybe a takeout target for us at some point. But we have to get there, and we got to prove the goods. And that's what we plan to do with this $5 million raise.
Definitely. It all started with the gold price movement, then the majors followed, and it's like you say, it's time for the juniors to start showing some serious share price movement. Extremely exciting
it's
stuff.
It's about time.
yeah, for my investment portfolio as well, I can say. So thanks a lot for coming on to the show today, Saf. Where can people invest in iMetal's resources?
We are on the TSX Venture under ticker IMR, on the OTCQB under IMRFF, and on the Frankfurt, I believe it's A7VA. And our website, of course, is iMetalResources.ca.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Saf, and look forward to hearing more about these projects in the future.
Sounds great, John. Thanks for having us, and look forward to talking to you again, hopefully with bigger and better news.